All right, everyone. So we have another episode of a quick reaction on what just transpired in the Narendra Modi Stadium at Ahmedabad, the World Cup final. And this is the innings break, a quick review of what just happened with the Indian innings. To be honest, I was actually looking at somewhere like a 350 odd total, given the
After
strength
the
that
Rohit
the
Sharma
Indian
start.
batting, yeah, after the Rohit Sharma start, and also the proven strength of the Indian batting order, right? And
Mhm.
frankly, it was just shocking that both the openers were back within like 10 overs, and Shubman Gill got out, and big match Mitch Stark stood up. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's probably, I would say it's a par score or even better, maybe. 240 is definitely going to be competitive on this ground. When I looked at the pitch towards the end of the Indian innings, it seemed like a day four, day five test wicket, and I could see rough, dark patches all over around the batsman. And I can only imagine if Ashwin, had Ashwin played, it would have been like Ashwin and Jadeja bowling in tandem, and Australian batsmen, staring into faces of the fielders around them. Yep. Go for it. What do you think, PS?
I do think, Kandalf, that we are like 20, 25, maximum 30 runs short. A total that would have stood around 260 plus, 265, 70 would have given me a huge confidence just because of the bowling lineup that we have, and that would have been what I would consider a competitive total. So right now a target of merely 240 plus. I'm still not counting out the chances of India at all, given the fact that we have once bowled out Australia under a score of 200 in the group stages. So 240 on this pitch, it's not exactly what I was hoping for. It's not the scoreline that I would be happy watching Indian bowlers defend. But then I would certainly not count out our chances yet. I know that in our group when we were discussing there, but it's a 240 is probably not even a fighting score. But I would disagree. I think we have a fair chance to defend it.
Absolutely.
It will entirely depend on getting. I mean, it sounds obvious, but then it will depend on getting some early wickets because let's say if Warner and Travis Head they start out in their usual vein and they put some 60, 70 odd runs in the first 10 overs. And even if they were to get out after that, I think the chase becomes easier. I mean, Australia have the players to carry it forward.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
not letting Australia into a good start where they really demolish the run rate is very important because
Yeah.
you have to. I mean, at this point, it's not just the game on the pitch; it's also mental and the psychological aspects of playing in a final with all the weight and responsibilities resting upon your shoulders will matter. So we should just focus on. I think that will be the approach. Focus on pressurizing Australia in every way possible. The fielding has to be excellent. We cannot be lax on the field at all. Any extra runs considered via the balls, be it a wide, a no ball, a boundary that was not properly stopped, will all play a part in relieving that pressure. It's about getting that chalk hole straight. It's about restricting Australian players. Even if we are not taking early wickets, we have to make sure that they are not running away with the game, that they are not hitting boundaries at will. I think that's what we have to do, Khandal. You can talk
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
what
I think
Australia
I think
needs to
it's
do right
I think it's
this
going
right.
to be pressure. As you said, it's going to be definitely pressure. The key things that Australia need to keep in mind in the chase is they need to almost replicate what they did against South Africa. Although the
Yeah,
total was like 213 to chase, but then it's almost a similar approach that they will have to take. Like Warner and Head, my guess is that they will go all guns blazing, right? So they will try to quickly put on like a 70, 80 runs within the first 10, 12 overs. Given it's a slowish wicket, it will be easier to attack the seamers. It may not really, move around a lot, but and even if it does, they will probably want to go on the offensive. And secondly, they got good players of spin like Steve Smith, Manas Labuschagne. Unless they play rash shots, I think
yeah.
if their consolidation during the middle overs is going to be key. Even if there are early wickets, they should probably be having a plan B, right? So that's always on the cards. And firepower towards the end, Maxwell and others, those people will probably come in if Australia lose, like say, 180 for 6 wickets or something like that. Then you will probably have actually a game on our hands, like Ravi Shastri calls it. So, like you will still have 60 odd runs to get, and probably Maxwell or Inglis with the tail that's probably going to be a scenario in this. I understand, most Indian fans might feel that this is not really a par score, but I feel this is a fighting total, because we are probably used to seeing India score in the mid 350, 300s, like 350,
Yeah,
370 and other, on most grounds against most opposition, where they have dominated completely. And this is probably the first time in this tournament that India have been bowled out, if I'm not wrong. So
yeah.
India have been bowled out, although in the last over they got a run out and they were 240 all out. So the first time. So I think all these things tilt the momentum at this point in favor of Australia, but it's just a matter of
But
like
it's just a matter of
a wicket.
couple
Yeah, it's
deliveries,
just a wicket.
Khandal. Let's say
Yeah,
the
it's a
second
wicket
innings
for two.
starts. Yeah, it's a wicket or two easily.
135,000 people, 135,000 people plus, after a wicket falls and the new guy walks in, they are going to be right behind the bowler. It's going to be worse
That's
than,
where the pressure
yeah,
builds. Yeah, the
it's going
audience
to
is
be
going to
worse
be
than
chasing every
Headingley. It's going to
delivery.
be worse than Headingley or Edgbaston or
Yep.
any other crowd that Australia has ever seen. Going behind the bowler. It's going to be like people getting behind Stuart Broad on a hat trick, right? So it's all
Yeah.
going to be that way. But it also gives Australian youngsters in the middle, like Josh Inglis and others, Travis Head and others, to be heroes of a World Cup that they are playing for the first time. So I think,
Khandalf, I do think that the middle overs, not exactly the late middle overs, the early middle overs, once the fielding restrictions are lifted, which would amount somewhere between 10th to 20th over, is when India have to really, really step up their game. Because that is where we can start putting on the pressure. So the first 10 over, guys like Warner and somebody, if they are really getting going, it's hard even for our best bowlers to expect not to get smacked. But once the
yeah,
fielding restrictions are lifted, I think that's where India really, really have to attack Australia, because Australians, they do not really want to mount a late chase. They do not
yeah,
want Warner and Head to really protect their wickets
absolutely,
so that they can delay the chase into the match. They would much rather want to get a head start so that the middle over and the lower middle over can focus on taking the team across. So in that kind of a
exactly.
situation, if you are able to restrict Australia very well, and the key will be preventing
Yeah,
mistakes, avoiding extras, avoiding no balls, avoiding wides, fielding perfectly, not leaking anything, not dropping catches. My God, most importantly.
yeah,
I do think we do have a fighting chance, because you take the game late into Australia's lower middle order. Although they
exactly.
have explosive guys like Maxwell, once the
Yeah,
pressure builds,
absolutely,
wickets
no
wickets
chance.
tend to fall. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely
if you
no
are able
chance.
to keep the pressure
Yeah.
on Australia up until 30, 35 overs, well, they are not running away with the game. There
Yeah,
is every chance that we
absolutely. I
will
mean,
win.
once Jadeja and Kuldeep are in, they may not really have a chance in terms of really going for the long target, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's why Warner and Head will try to get them as close as possible within the first 10, 15 overs, where there could be like 80, 90 runs. And I mean, that's the ideal
And a
Aussie
couple
mindset at
wickets
this
there.
point.
Let's say Shami or Siraj
Yeah,
were to step up and take out one of them, or let's say both of them, then we
both
have
of
an
them.
absolute game on our hands. If
Oh,
Warner or Head
then
were to depart
absolutely.
early, it's going to be really, really tough for Australia. The total
Yeah,
doesn't. I think the total seems lower than it actually is.
yeah.
Deba, we have the original Doomsday Predictor Deba here with us. What's your take, man?
Yeah, I was just about to say that VS is way more optimistic than I am. I don't think 240 is a score that will bother Australia because Australia can essentially build their innings. They know the target they're chasing. They do not have to. They can plan accordingly. They can set up their innings accordingly. If even if they lose like a couple of quick wickets, let's just say they can afford to rest on the innings, play out the
Khandal,
yeah, quick bowlers. So
this is the same guy who said India cannot lose in Narendra Modi Stadium.
see. Yeah, fair enough. I think by the end of this night, I will have to eat a humble pie on that. I was clearly
I think
wrong in
he's
that
just
sense,
trying to,
but
Dave is just trying to not jinx India's chances here, and I feel that Dave is probably just trying to be the other side of the cup, the empty empty side of the cup, which is probably
Yeah.
half full.
that's
Like
where
the
you
other
are
day where
wrong, Thandal.
Australia beat South Africa, and Chris, our other friend who is just dropped out because of technical issues, who was very, very pessimistic despite Australia winning against South Africa. He was absolutely critical and harsh on the Aussie batsmen for the way they chased that total. But then that's the kind
Carter,
of
I think it's psychological. These fans, they don't really have the audacity and they want to be modest because they want to keep the expectations so low that they are not
Hold
disappointed.
on, hold on. See, here's the thing. First of all, Khandaj, I'm always the glass half empty guy, regardless of sport or what I'm watching. I'm always that guy. So it's not it won't come exactly as a surprise to VS or Chris that I'm having this take that India does not look like hasn't set up a score that will scare Australia, I would say. So okay,
Yeah, I'm sure it's not going to scare Australia. It's definitely not an intimidating target. But as
yeah,
VS
Yeah.
called out, if there are early strikes, like in the first 6 overs or 10 overs, if Australia is going to be, two down or something like that, then it will slow down a lot. Chris Smith and Manas Labuschagne will
guys.
probably try to build slowly. Marsh is again, big hitter, so he might probably if he plays second fiddle. He's not a great player of spin either, Mitch Marsh. So that's going to slow down the innings considerably. And if by 25th over they are like 100 for 2 or 3, then it's anybody's
We
game
can
from
pile
there.
the pressure on, yes.
Guys,
Yeah, then it's
once
anybody's game from
Early
there.
one
middle overs, when
small
we are bringing the
question.
spinners into attack, there is every chance that we can choke Australia. We can really restrict them to not really getting the big
I
shots, getting the boundaries, and that will really
I
matter.
have a small question to put forward here. Like we have been talking about what will happen in the second innings. Can we just go back to the first innings that we just saw and comment whether it was Australia's great bowling, which was there. There were some unplayable deliveries, I feel, which Australian bowlers executed the plans perfectly, or was it not great batting in terms of the execution by Indian batsmen?
Yeah, see, I mean, it was probably both, but I think the Aussie bowlers had their plans set. They seem really prepared for this. And I know, I mean, it's really a matter of just one ball to get a batsman out. It's the other way around, right? So you can score 5 boundaries and get out the sixth ball, and it's still a win for the fielding team. So I feel they really stuck to their plans. I will probably shift a little bit to the last overs where India could have accelerated. The turning point where was basically that they didn't let Surya Kumar Yadav to accelerate. They were bowling to a plan. They were bowling slow balls. They were bowling slow bouncers so that he doesn't have pace on the ball to actually guide it behind the wicket. Surya Kumar was, is a 360-degree player, and they know it, and they were prepared for it. It seemed like so. They worked it out. They just set him up, and ball was coming real slow to him. And of course, I mean, Australia have good players of spin, so I think what we are looking forward is a slow pitch. It's really slowed down considerably towards the end of the Indian innings. Now, what we are looking at is Aussie batsmen who will probably go on the offensive against the first, the seamers in the first 10 overs, and then probably take it from there with the middle order of Australia, which could play spin a little better than the other batsmen in Australia. I mean, no, I'm not comparing Aussie players of spin with Indian batters because Indians are obviously better players of spin, but definitely they will have to work out their methods with Kuldeep Yadav and Jadeja, because Smith doesn't have a great record against Jadeja, and Kuldeep Yadav can actually be the role that Shamsi played the other day in the semi-final against Australia. So Shamsi and Keshav Maharaj, they really put the pressure on and applied the brakes on the Australians on that day. So I think both are similar kind of bowlers. So Maharaj could be Jadeja and Shamsi could be Kuldeep. That's how probably Aussie batters will be looking at in terms of the trajectory, in terms of the kind of bowlers they are. They're, one is a slow left orthodox and the other is Chinaman, right? So I think India should have played Ashwin, to be honest, in this match, because they would have gotten that extra batter. It wouldn't be like, once Sky or Jadeja got out, it wouldn't come down to Shami or others to score the runs. Ashwin is a good batter towards the end. He would have probably added another 20 runs that VS
20
was
runs.
speaking
That would have
about.
been
So
key, yes.
exactly.
That extra 20 runs, when if the total were taken to 260, would have been three. But then at the end of the day, guys, I think we can all agree that maybe not half full, but India certainly has water in their glass, and Australia will have some time to fill some water in their glasses as well. So let's look forward to the next innings and see where we are headed from here. I'm pretty sure 50% of us are headed for disappointment. It just waits to be seen which 50% is headed for disappointment. So we look forward to finding that out, guys.
Which
Thank you
side
and
of
see
the
you.
quadrant? Which side of the quadrant is
Yeah,
going to end up in
the left or
disappointment?
the right side.
Okay, guys, let's see you on the other side of the other innings. Thank you.
Yeah. See you on the other side.